Hi everyone, welcome to this spotlight video. My name is Allison Mondel. I'm the director of Ensemble for Medieval Music. Oh my goodness, it's almost April. This is very exciting because April is the month when so many things come together for our spring season. And we're so excited to bring you this incredibly rich, layered performance of The Unicorn on April 16th. So, welcome everybody. If you're here, will you please say hello in the chat? It would be so nice to hear from you, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you. So, what I have planned for you today is I'll be perfectly honest with you. It is a very personal representation of the Lady and the Unicorn tapestries. And relevant to our program, how these incredible works of art will play into the larger theme of this program, the unicorn. If you've been joining us, you've been hearing snippets of this as we've been going through the weeks, through our weekly events. But here I wanted to get into a little bit of detail and share some of the images with you. I don't have any music samples for you today. I wanted to entice you to come join us for our program, but we'll be able to see how we're going to weave in the music with these images. Hi, Steve. Greetings to you. So one of the great advantages of doing a virtual performance is that we can add all of this multimedia. Hello, Monica from Winnipeg. Yes, great to see you today. So what I'd like to do is wade us into this program, to this experience of the tapestries. So let's have a look. First of all, I want to share with you some of these images because they're going to be really something that we're going to know very well. There are 6 tapestries in all. And these tapestries are housed currently at the Musée de Cluny, or currently known as the Musée de Moyen Age, in Paris. And they are actually closed right now for a huge renovation. Side note, there's a really interesting video on the Musée de Cluny's website about they're taking the tapestries down, which is crazy. But here we are. Here's one of these tapestries, and I want to just explain a little bit to you about what we're going to be seeing and how it's going to overlay with our program. So this is one of 5 tapestries that represent the 5 different senses. Here we have hearing. And the way this artist, as we understand, these are large, massive, room-sized tapestries that were made from smaller drawings known as cartoons. And these drawings are exquisitely detailed. These tapestries are composed in a style known as the mille fleurs, or 1,000 flower. And you see the many, many little bunches or stems of flowers in addition to these splendid creatures. Here we have, as I mentioned, hearing, one of those 5 senses. And in every single one of these tapestries, you'll find a lady who is taller in stature to her servant or handmaiden, who is always not necessarily shorter, but shown that she's smaller in stature. So one thing that we'll begin to really observe in these tapestries is how layered they are with these images that speak of depth of meaning. And being musicians, being artists, Aya is really taking these tapestries as the inspiration, but going to overlay our own meaning. We'll get into that in just a little bit, but here you have this beautiful portative organ on a table with some very exquisite tapestry over the table, and the lady is playing. And we can only imagine all of the animals around them are hearing the beautiful sounds of the organ, their senses enlivened. Now, importantly, what you also see are two very primary figures of the lion and the unicorn. So, just to give you the most general overview, because I am not an art historian, I'm a singer and an ensemble director who loves medieval music. These beautiful creatures, as I mentioned, do have many symbols attached to them. The Middle Ages was a time where fantastical creatures were beloved, and there were many, many books known as bestiaries written about the different kinds of meaning associated with these animals, as well as their inherent powers. And if you know anything about Harry Potter, you will love these books, because we know in Harry Potter there's so many fantastic beasts that have amazing powers. So the lion, representative of courage and royalty, loyalty, and strength. Also the symbol of St. Mark, one of the evangelists, and definitely associated with what is regal. Now, these tapestries, as we'll find out in a little while, are also going to be enjoyed within the home of royalty, of a family that you see the heraldic flags of the Leviste family. And we'll talk about that in just a minute. But then we have this unicorn, who is, in my opinion, my favorite figure in all of these tapestries, who just catches your eye in every single one. So the unicorn has many, many, many different layers of meaning. The unicorn is, of course, the namesake of our program and all of the events that we've been leading up to this spring. But here in the unicorn, we see on the surface purity, the soul, masculinity, Christ, the nature of being docile. So there's something also very wild about the unicorn, who can be tamed by a lady, or really specifically a virgin. So here we have this unicorn with his or her beautiful, beautiful, gleaming white coat, and always catching our eye. And here, I love this, in this beautiful picture, we see this beautiful unicorn smiling at us. Isn't that beautiful? Is he enjoying the music? I hope so. I wonder what it sounds like. So let's get back a little bit to this little detail here in this tapestry of hearing. You see the organ. You see the lady. She's so calm. I bet she's not worried about what she's playing at all. And let's talk a little bit about the nature of these tapestries, and then we'll keep going and learning about the other images and layers of depth that we'll get into here. So we have the Leviste family arms, those three crescents that you see on that blue background. Now, there's some debate about which member of the family these were commissioned by. We can only imagine it was a family of great means, and had noble or royal associations with the king himself. These tapestries, 6 that exist today, were crafted in the late 15th, early 16th centuries, as you see here. They were actually put together. They were woven in and around Flanders in the South Netherlands, but we know that the designs were of Parisian origin. So the sort of, who can only imagine what happened in this centuries intervening from when they were first installed at the chateau of the Leviste family, and then found moldering in a chateau, the Chateau de Boussac in central France in 1841, where there's this discovery of these forlorn tapestries, and then the director of the Musée de Cluny goes and rescues them. And what follows is this restoration, and of course, these tapestries being elevated to artworks of national and worldly prestige. Here we have the general region of Boussac, right in the middle of the country. And here is the chateau where they were found. It's quite gorgeous. This side, the front has a very beautiful vista. But again, bringing us back to all of this meaning and depth that's embedded in the weavings. So let's keep going. What we have next is la vue, or the sense of seeing, of sight. This is such an interesting tapestry. You know that it's the same mill that wove them, but doesn't it seem so different? The lady, she seems so different. Is she the same person? Is she someone else? Also, notice there's no maiden. There's no second maiden in this picture. But what we do have is a very, very intimate moment of the unicorn and the lady connecting via this hand mirror she's holding up for the unicorn. And how interesting. The unicorn is not looking at himself in the mirror. There's this interesting technique where she's holding the mirror out, and you see what's possibly being shown to the unicorn. But is he even looking at himself? He seems to me to be looking at the lady in this beautiful, beautiful moment of intimacy. But also in this image, seeing how the mirror, of course, which was another fantastic symbol in the Middle Ages, is reflecting so much more than just an image. But of course, could it be the soul of oneself reflected in the mirror? Do we see ourselves in the mirror, reflected in the unicorn? The purity of the soul, the love in its eyes, the connection with Christ, or the reflection of ourselves in Christ, or just the pure nature of our souls. This is what we're going to explore through music and text in our program. What was really astonishing, though, about this particular little moment in this tapestry is this lady's face. I just wonder what she is thinking. She does not seem to be very joyful in this picture. In fact, she seems a little tired, which is also something truly charming about these tapestries. They're very human in this fantastical way. Also, we must observe her incredible hairstyle. I can only imagine what fashion, which we see these elaborate luxe gowns and the fabrics and the jewels just sort of dripping from these ladies, and these amazing hairstyles. Very interesting. And here we have the lion looking away with a bit of a glint in his eye and a smile, which is beautiful. Behind him, you see one of 4 trees that show up in all of these tapestries. This is one of the oak trees, again, rife with imagery. And of course, all of the little animals that are joining in the dance of the flowers. So next we have taste, le goût. Oh my goodness, we can only imagine how important taste is in French culture. But here we have this much bigger tapestry. It's encompassing a lot in this particular work. You see the 4 trees. You see 2 banners waving in the breeze. And I want to draw your attention to a few things in this tapestry. I love the way that the color in the banners is graded. So you see the movement as if there's a breeze blowing through the scene. And as you also notice, that little green island that holds all the action suspended in midair. Now, what we also have in le goût is a unicorn looking at us. Yes. So you have the lady offering a little candy, or perhaps a nut. You choose. I like to think that it's a little sweet that she's giving to her lovely bird. Now, interestingly, in the background of this particular scene, as you see in this very close inset, you see a rose trellis. So there's this sense of being outside, the sense of the roses, all the flowers, the sounds of the animals, and you see her hair covering is also flapping in the breeze. How beautiful! And she seems to actually be smiling. Her handmaiden is not smiling, being lowered to the ground and holding something up, a chalice almost, as she offers a little taste. But that bird is not the only one having a taste. Look in this beautiful, beautiful foreground of this piece. On the left-hand side, we have a monkey ready to have a little taste. Whether it's a berry, who knows? But he's about to savor something, and maybe that doggy will also get a treat. I have a feeling he will. But here you have this exquisite image of the unicorn. Take a moment and look at him in the eyes. There's something so stunning about him, and the way his banner is also flapping in the breeze. How incredible. So let's move on from here. Next, the rose is leading us into the next sense, that of smell, l'odorat, smelling. Now here you see that the colors are a little bit more enriched. This particular tapestry seems to have been preserved in a very nice way. You can see at the bottom the way the color is a little bit brighter in one section, how time affects these things and the restoration efforts have affected the fibers in different ways. But we have, again, a lot happening in this scene, and a very similar sort of setting to the sense before of taste, where the handmaiden, is holding up something. And what is she holding? She's holding a basket of flowers. Oh, they almost look like petunias or begonias. And the lady is weaving a little crown, a crownlet for her hair or someone's hair, maybe a beloved's, an offering to her beloved. But we have a sense of the flowers, the touch of the flowers, the softness of the petals, and how when you touch a flower, you brush against it, you smell the scent. And our friend the monkey is also taking his turn to have a moment with a flower. This sense leads us into the next. From a sense of smell to that very, very important sense, of course, for us as humans, is touch, le toucher. Now here in this tapestry, I have a very different feeling when I look at this tapestry. It seems like it has a seriousness, a timbre of something that is holding some power and really changes gears on us. Now, what we have is a very strong figure of the lady. No hand servant here to tell us that she is superior in some way or higher up on the hierarchy, the social hierarchy. But here we have her grasping the standard as well as touching the horn of the tamed unicorn. How interesting, this play. And he has no problem with this. Look, he's looking up to her as if she has complete control of him, and he will do her will. I don't think that's anything nefarious or making any power grabs here. But this says a lot right here in this tapestry. The lion, almost banal in his expression, looking on. But really, all of this action is zeroed in right here in this particular moment where she has taken the unicorn as her tame subject. Now, some other very interesting things are happening in this scene. As you see above the horn of the unicorn, there's a little creature, sort of monkey-like figure with a belt. And next we have some other figures. figures that were once roaming free and prancing through the garden of Millefleurs, now all contained in some way. The monkey with a weight, he's not going anywhere. And the beautiful wild cat, almost like a leopard or ocelot or something like this. And this wild, fierce dog in white with the spots, with a collar, beautiful collar. And this other animal, perhaps a fox or some other kind of woodland animal with another collar. How interesting. We've gone from this beautiful sense of freedom to one of being held in submission. Why? Why? This is why we all love these tapestries. There's no reason why other than the one that we choose to embark upon. So this incredible tapestry leads us into the last tapestry, the sixth tapestry, where all of our senses in some way are enlivened, but certainly our sense of curiosity. So this is generally titled À mon seul désir, interpreted a few ways in French, but for this presentation, we'll call it My Only Desire. Also, my sole desire. My only desire. Now, what in the world could that be? What could it be? Here you see at the top, we have a new figure, a new character, a tense, a gentle, sweet tense that tells us here, à mon seul désir, and inside, it's blank, it's empty. But what we have is this great lady. Her hair seems to be shorn. Her handmaiden's still there with a rather different expression on her face. She seems like she's in a better mood. And what's happening is not exactly clear. I'm just going to give you my interpretation because this is going to lead us into the next incredible sort of moment in the story. Here we have the lady's desire, that she is leaving her jewels, as we saw her frocks and the luxurious baubles that she was wearing around her neck, in her headdress, around her waist as a belt. Not to mention the luxuriousness of her fabrics, as you see here, this beautiful velvet texture of her dress, that she's placing the jewels in the box to then enter the tent of her desire. What is her desire? Well, it could be argued her desire is to leave the world behind. Maybe she's going to become a nun. Maybe she's going to become wed. Maybe she's going to leave the world in some way. Who knows? But for the sake of this particular program, I would argue that she's, and certainly this is a feminist perspective, that she's going to become, her desire is to become in union with the Creator, with the beloved, the divine beloved. Now, that doesn't mean she needs to leave behind the world, but she chooses to leave behind or cast off her human goods so that she only needs to be connected via her soul and her heart. So here you see those jewels being, I love how they're enfolded in perhaps she's starting to take off part of her sleeve too, that gossamer chiffon that is wrapped around her jewels. It's all being cast aside. And then we have here the unicorn and the lion being available to help ease the rite of passage. They're ready. They're telling her, look at that lion. He's ready. I see his roar as one of deep, deep admiration of this choice. What's the choice? The choice is surrender. to surrender oneself to God. And the unicorn, his beautiful bright eyes, looking at her, gazing at her with a very placid and pleased expression. I wonder what he's really thinking. So here in this particular tapestry, we really see something happening, some action, a movement forward after we've been exploring these senses. Now, what I'm really interested in knowing is what happens next? What happens when she, after surrendering her desire and all of the treasures of the world, what does she discover as the treasure within? And so, likening this journey with what I have been reading and exploring and earnestly desiring to understand, a female's journey through the Middle Ages, through music, as you've been exploring through our events, but also through the eyes of the mystics. The Middle Ages was rife with all of this activity of women having incredibly deep and intense spiritual encounters with God, ravishing encounters. They are exquisite to read and strange. And so many of these, we have very differing examples of the reception of these experiences. Hildegard of Bingen is one of those very clear examples, as we have music, of course, that Hildegard wrote that also has a clear mirror into this mystical language and mystical experience through music. However, some of the other mystics that we will encounter in our program are specifically Teresa of Avila, Hadovich of Brabant, Julian of Norwich, Marjorie Kemp, and Marguerite Porete. These are some extraordinary women, some of whom had incredible lives, some of whom had very unfortunate demises as well. But all of them believing so wholeheartedly in their experience, having the agency to speak with their own personal authority about their union with their divine beloved. And we're going to explore this in our program through readings, through song. The very exciting aspect of this program is our volunteer corps, who will be reading and singing as souls having their own journey. And they will be reading poetry and texts from some of these mystics that I just mentioned, as well as singing the words of Hildegard von Bingen's Ordo Virtutum, the play of the virtues, singing the words specifically of one of the characters, anima, which means soul. So we're going to have all of these souls having these experiences, drawing us through the senses, coming to the moment, a pivotal moment of surrender to their desire to become one with the beloved. And in so doing, having this experience of divine union. And I wanted to leave you today with a text that really sums up this experience of union, or conjunctio in the Latin, of becoming one. And here's Marguerite Porete, a mystic who was burned at the stake. Her work was so inflammatory, as she talks in her book, The Mirror of Simple Souls, of 7 stages that the soul walks through to achieve this moment. As you also will discover in Teresa of Avila's The Interior Castle, that there are 7, this very magic number, which is, of course, we don't have 6 tapestries, but we're going to envision a 7th tapestry in our program, where you will hear Marguerite Porete's text set to music. And here's the final word from Marguerite Porete. Beloved, what do you want of me? I contain all that was and that is and shall be. I am filled with the all. Take of me all you please. If you want all of myself, I'll not say no. Tell me, beloved, what you want of me. I am love, who am filled with the all. What you want, we want, beloved. Tell us your desire nakedly. And so, my friends, that takes us to the end of our journey of 7 stages, walking through those incredible tapestries. I'm so grateful that you joined me today. I hope you enjoyed the images. We will have many more on display for you on our social media accounts and, of course, at our program. I want to encourage you to please go to our website and check out our program. The Unicorn tickets are on sale. They're $15. We have a few more events for you next Tuesday and the Tuesday following, something really special. Now, I do want to announce that our next week's event is changing due to some scheduling conflicts. And I won't bore you with all the details, but I want you to stay tuned for what we have in store for you. I think you will love it. So, thank you again for joining us. I hope you'll come and join us on April 16th as well. It's been a pleasure to talk about some of my favorite artworks, and I really, really encourage you to check them out yourself. Maybe one day we'll all get to go to Paris and see them again soon. Thank you again for coming, everyone. Oh, Marilyn, I see you invited some French friends. I hope so too. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Take care.